Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ask ServiceMonster show, where you've got questions about your service business and we've got your answer. Today, our question comes from Paul. He wants to talk about wraps. Had a few questions, kind of inspired me to do a rant about wraps and signage in general. I know it's something that a handful of you guys have been toying with, and it's been a popular subject as of late on the boards. So Paul and I were talking. He asked me for opinions on his general wrap, but I'm thinking, I know that there's some people that I have a lot of respect for that took entirely too long to get their wrap, and so I want to kind of make sure we emphasize the importance of branding in your vehicles. It's gonna cost you about $6,000 to get the thing wrapped. So just eat that, right? Just know that. And that's not even for the design work. So getting a great design and wrapping your vehicles is not inexpensive, but its value is enormous to your business. Think about it like this. I don't even have to go any further than saying it's a giant billboard that's driving around your community when you're going from job to job, and should be even when you're not going from job to job, just driving around doing sales and glad handing. Getting that vehicle out in front of eyeballs is the very reason why we pay for Facebook advertising or television advertising or radio advertising or SEO. It is the natural progression of a service provider to have branding on their vehicle. The bigger the better. If you have a van, use it like a billboard. If you have a box truck, even better from a branding perspective. It's hugely important. I'm not just a big fan, I think it's a necessity. It costs you, let's say, 10 grand. So let's say you spend 4 grand on the design. And that's a decent, you're welcome, Ryan Kitterick. That's a decent amount of money to spend on a design for a wrap, for sure, but let's just say it's 10 grand. Over the life of that vehicle, the amount of leads that it's going to pull in if you've done it right, and brand awareness it's going to create is well worth it. And if you can't afford it, start saving your pennies. It's better than most other advertising you're going to do. Now, you can do a co-branding exercise that I really like, which is yard signs. You can start with that with inexpensive. So let's say you can't get your wrap on day one. On day one, though, get yourself some yard signs. In every place you go do your job, you plant that yard sign right there so people know who you are. And when you've got both your vehicle branding and your yard sign in place, that's just hotness right there. So, and especially if it's a multi-day job and you have to leave and then come back, leave the yard sign there. What's the reason to have it there just besides branding? Put your license on it, right? Your license to do business. So that way, Mrs. Jones will think it's pretty legit that she's got that in there. That way you know things are going well and things are legitimate and you're not going to get in trouble. Just those little things make a big difference. So get your truck, get it branded, get your wrap, get your yard signs. That's a core fundamental starting block for any service company. Now let's talk about design for a minute. Nothing says legit like a white van with some taped on or sprayed on letters, right? Carpet cleaning and your phone number, man. It's like serial killer waiting to happen. I'm not gonna be comfortable with that in my van, even if you're a legit guy on day one. This is not something you can self-do. Let's just put it that way. Don't do the self-do approach. Have it professionally done. Now the graphics, if you are a little aficionado at Photoshop and you know how to take some decent pictures, sure, it's a project you could probably tackle. But most of you guys don't have the chops for it, and so doing something that big, that expensive, that long lasting, getting a pro involved is a really, not just key, I think it's critical to the success of the money that you're going to spend on this wrap. This is interesting because it forces you down a path of branding and logo identification. What are your company colors? Like, what does that represent? What's your company font? Can you have a logo that you reduce down into an 80 by 80 square or a 40 by 40 square? Like, even if you weren't thinking about that kind of stuff already, the van wrap project will get you going down that road. And that's a great road to go down. Like, what is our colors? Like, stay away from danger stuff, but be unique. You want to stand out. And there's no real hard, fast rules there. I would say, like, don't do a red van. And the next thing I know, some dude in Whatcom County's got a red van and he's killing it, right? So you got to figure that out on your own, but what represents your personality and what you're trying to communicate and the culture that you're building within your company and your community. So put a lot of thought into it, but get some help. Got to have clear indication of your name, right? And what you're doing and how to contact you. So let's just start with those three things have to have. Your name, what you do, how to contact you. So that could be your phone number, which is the general preference. It could also be, a Facebook page or a website or, your Twitter handle. But man, that phone number, that's really what's going to be important there. So name, phone number, what you do. Everything else is up for grabs. Now, you want to be unique. Everybody else has those things and their van's like awesome blue, right? Everybody's got their awesome blue van. I love Seeger's van. I love Uber's van. Like great, and Ashley's got the best color blue, but they're blue, right? So you got to do something that makes it truly unique. That's hard. That's going to take time. This is not a long-term project. And one thing that most people don't do is they don't use any kind of personal imagery, like smiling faces or babies. The reason for that is photography is tough. It's really tough. And you do not want to do stock imagery with this project. So don't go to, stock photo or iPhoto or whatever those stock photography places are and buy yourself a woman and a baby. It's just not going to cut it. If you want to take it to the next level, you get somebody who knows a little photography and you find maybe one of your more attractive client families and start taking pictures and then ask them for a release form. And then again, it's a long-term project, right? But this is the foundation of your branding for your company from this point forward. So I'm going to wrap this up basically saying, look, I think it's hugely important. Take that yard sign tip to heart. Make sure you're doing those things at a minimum and start mulling it over. If you haven't got your van wrap, truck wrap, car wrap, right? It doesn't have to be limited to hot water extraction either, right? You can do this with a portable. If you're driving around a vehicle for your business as a service, get it branded. All right, guys, have a good week. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go check out the demo. Give us a call.